What's good, my boy? I've made a video on this little cute diagram right here a couple times now. And I would assume that most people have seen this, but I'll just give a brief explanation of what the fuck this shit means. Basically, these are both supposed to represent you and your progress, okay? And these lines or these are you, and these lines are the progress you make and your energy, if you will. So let's say you put your time, some of the resources that we have on this planet, your time, your energy, and your attention. Let's say you put them into a bunch of different things, okay? I've preached on this channel, Renaissance Man, doing a bunch of different things, blah, 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 and so forth. And this is kind of what happens whenever you do that. But if you put it in just one thing, you understand what I'm saying? Say you got this much fucking thing and you can put it into one thing or two things and be up at this level, but you put it into like fucking eight different things. I think that's how many I drew here. You see how small they go? I gotta be honest, okay? Now, as cute and as fun as the do whatever your heart desires and have fun and do what you love and follow your curiosities and blah 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 blah, as much as that works, right? And as much as I will still continue to practice that, we got to be realistic here. If you want to be great, if you want to be a proclaimed blah blah blah, if you want to be in the upper echelon of certain crafts, you have to choose. None of this cute little fancy, but Da Vinci. Let's be fucking realistic. Da Vinci didn't do 8 things all at once. He periodized his fucking tasks and his interests. 2 years he's gonna fucking just paint and teach people painting. 3 years he's gonna move to this other fucking town and he might paint as a hobby for like once a week, but he's gonna work on military technology. It's not really a realization. I've known this for a while. But you have to fucking choose. I talk a lot on this channel about my 4 main interests. It was out there, boy. It wasn't just these 4 that I'm about to tell you. It was literally like fucking tattooing, gardening, fucking every single little trade in construction that I was interested in. Let me practice my drywall skills. It's just fucking bullshit. And the 4 I dialed it down to are, now I got a little vague on one of them because it was hard for me to compromise knowing this. It is building. That can be a structure for somebody's house for them to fucking live in, or it can be a cute little planter box birdhouse crafty thing. It can be something out of wood. It can be something out of metal. It can be something out of clay. I just like building things. I come from a family of people who have always worked with their hands. Whenever I go to sleep at night, whenever I'm laying in bed, the thoughts, besides all the crazy fucking bullshit that comes in and out of my brain like a goddamn rocket ship, is visualization of things I could build in the future, things I'm working on, how I could change it up, what I could add to it. That's just how my brain works. And it's partly a fucking curse because I can hardly ever just take a commission or take a task and just fucking finish it to the end. Or set points where I'm like, all right, I'm fucking done. It's hard for me to do that. I want to keep adding and adding and adding and adding. The second one is my painting. I like to do oil paintings. I like to just fucking draw. I like to just scribe out what's in my mind onto a page or onto a canvas, whatever. The third one is music. I'm in my fucking music studio. I got like 8 different instruments in this son of a bitch. And I'm just obsessed with the process of making music, from the engineering standpoint to the production standpoint to like the little queer artistic. Let me. Oh, that really feels. I really feel all of it. I like it all. Okay. And the fourth one is I'm really fascinated by this internet producing videos and content type thing. I try to have a philosophy on it where it's not toxic and I'm not fucking like chasing numbers and shit. But it's pretty interesting that we live in a time where I can open up a little fucking book on my desk that projects my face onto it, hit record, and like video document it like I'm in the fucking Martian or some shit, okay? Those are my 4. Now I've narrowed them down. It used to be this many, and now I narrowed it down because I had the profound realization that, you know what, maybe if I try to spread my time into 100 different things, and I take that from 100 down to 4, maybe I could be a little more productive. Do less. Do more. Okay? So, now, I didn't just take 4 and individually divide my time evenly between them. No, that would be autistic. That would literally be me practicing this right here. What I did is I really became realistic with myself. I looked myself, not in the fucking mirror. This didn't happen in no mirror. It really just happened over a couple of days in my own cranium. But I was like, you know what? I narrowed them down by being like, what could I live without? What would I be okay with? Because I have this like fucked up ego where I don't even think this is what interests me into so many different areas. Half of it is like watching and discovering someone who is so immensely passionate about this thing. Well, I'm like, let me try that. Maybe I don't know, I'm not fucking Sigmund Freud doing diagnosis, but maybe it's like, I think it's like a magic pill or a formula to like all the complications and shit. And I'm like, well, he seems to have fun with it, so maybe I will. Maybe it's that. The obsession with trying to balance them all, if I try to do some Carl Jung psychology, Jordan Peterson on myself, it might be, I don't know, maybe it's that I have like a fucking ego and I want to be the best at every single thing I see, and I don't fucking know. I just know that I have like these weird things that go on in my brain that are like, man, that's so fucking cool and interesting and fascinating. So I jump onto them. But, long story short, I had to sit myself down to narrow them down to 4 and be like, what could I live without? There was a lot of bullshit that were hobbies that I held on to that was just shit that was in drawers closed away that I wouldn't look for months. So what are the ones I think about on a daily basis, or at least every other day? Narrowed them down to 4. Then I said, now I need to find a balance. I need to find a fucking balance where there are 2 that I care the most about, and the other ones are kind of hobby-like, okay? So the 2 that I really had to think, I was like, man, what do I see I think it all comes down for us who pick on too many things. It's like we have a fear of choice because we have an abundance of choice. Oh, I could be this. It's like a fucking little autistic thing of afraid to like grow up and make a fucking grown-up decision, where it's like, dog, you were asked this question, what do you want to be when you grow up, all throughout high school, and you didn't have a fucking answer. And just because you do 1,000 things doesn't mean you have an answer to what you want to do. You're just fucking bullshitting yourself and being indecisive and not choosing. So I sat myself down and I was like, let's fucking be an adult. What is going to be our character? What is going to be our fucking little, what's going to be our World of Warcraft class? It's permanent. We're going to level them up to a level 100, whatever the fuck level they are in World of Warcraft now. I use this analogy because I used to be a little gamer boy. But what level are they in the fucking game now? We're going to level them up to that. We don't have the money to play they don't have a class change. What? I don't really. I'm just fucking rambling. But I had to really decide, and this is what a lot of people need to do: really decide and formulate a balance. So I said, you know what? I'm unwilling to give up multiple hours a day to building things. I have a level of skills in this, and this is what people really need to think about. I have a baseline level of skills, and it's probably the thing I've developed the most skills in. And I should probably start from there instead of just starting from the ground up on a skill set. Okay? So, building, whatever the fuck it is. Whether it's structural, whether it's repairs, whether it's fucking crafts, whether it's furniture, whether it's a metal fucking Spencer from iCarly statue thingy majigger. Whatever. What? I didn't say that word. I said jigger. It doesn't really fucking matter, okay? I just love the process of a craftsman and building things and learning, and it's just immensely fascinating, and I'm unwilling to give that up. So we got number one. Number two, gotta be the music. It's gotta be the music for me. I've spent thousands of fucking dollars on this studio and invested countless hours. It's also the second thing that I have the most skills in, okay? Second thing I have the most skills in. I can play guitar decently. I know a couple things on piano. I know how to keep a rhythm on the drums. And I just have fucking a shit ton of fun with it. And I also have grandiose ambitions of whatever the fuck I want to be in the realm of music. I'm only 21 and I have a good amount of time left. So I think, please God. But those are just the things that I've thought of, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna split a majority of my time between these two. Now, if we're going on the whole Scott Adams skill stack thing, which skill stack pretty much is just like this. It's not he didn't invent it. This has probably been talked about for years. But basically, skill stack is you want to not just put all your eggs in one basket, but kind of put them in a couple different baskets that complement each other skill-wise. I don't really know how music and building complement each other, but whenever I put in my third one, which the third one is the third thing I care the most about, which is, I guess you would say, the videos, this internet shit. I'm about to have a bunch of time in my hands to combine all of these, and I truly have had a vision for the last 8 months of combining all of these and scoring and fucking whatever the fuck. I still want to keep this like raw video format that I do now. I haven't fully pictured it out. I've made a couple mock-ups of what I could kind of think of as cool, but they didn't really illustrate my true vision. But these videos, third thing I have a lot of skills in is being able to just fluently talk to this camera, and I can edit pretty fucking good, and I can Photoshop and whatnot pretty good. I learned that shit whenever I was younger, always hunched over on a computer. But those three, and then you gotta have a hobby, my boy. You gotta have a fuck work, fuck all that bullshit. I'm gonna go in here and just be like a little gay artist and just paint away. And that's my fourth one, painting. So those are what I choose to put most of my time in. It's a very weird skill stack if you go towards thinking about it of how do those complement each other. I have no fucking idea. It's just what I truly love to do and I've developed skills in, okay? And my balance on that, something in a balance would look like, say I choose to make this my full-time job, utilizing these, entrepreneurial, on my own, whatever. What that would look like is a majority of my income coming from the building things to sell them. I might build giant fucking wood slab tables. I might build this. I might build that. I don't really know, but it would come from the building. I've had a couple commissions as of late, but I might build a giant fucking smoker on a trailer. I might build a little dovetail box out of wood. But a majority of the income would come from that. And then, secondly, I would practice my music. It's kind of, hard thing to comprehend because they're so contradictory. But the second one would be as a break from the building, come in and practice on the music and make songs and make an album. I'm working on an album and I'm in the process of that right now. I've just been so tied up with work that I haven't had the time to really dedicate to using all this shit. Third thing is package it all into some sort of video where I would utilize the internet and its advantages and all of this and blah blah blah, and I could teach and entertain and do all these wonderful things that I couldn't do because I live in a fucking East Texas town with a population of like 2,000 people. We don't even have a good grocery store. Got to go an hour to get to a fucking Walmart. But I love that shit, my boy. 50 acres of woods. I can walk through my trails with my dick and balls out like God intended me to. Now don't start getting that image up in your mind, a big dog swinging in the sun. But that's what I'm talking about. And then what I'd want to do is just shut it all down at a certain time of the day and go and put on some fucking podcast or movie and chill with my family and possibly paint a little bit and just fucking live. So, I hope that illustrated the importance of this. See, it's been really hard for me to, I've known this for a while, but to realistically accept it as truth has been difficult. Because I love all of these things. The same little quirky, queer way that I get enthused about the music. Where I'm like, oh, wow. Another Andrew Masters studio tour. Oh, wow. That's so interesting that I can take apart this vintage keyboard and do, oh, that's so cool. I'm talking about the nerdiest fucking elements of this shit turn me on. Not in that way. I get that way about painting. It's like, oh, wow, it's so satisfying squeezing out that paint. Oh, wow, this person's process in it. Oh, wow, this is so fucking cool. But you see how I'm a little less enthused. That's how I kind of came to the idea of figuring out how to truly balance it. It's like, all right, maybe even though my brain thinks that I'm just as into painting as I am into music, I don't really get as enthused. I really spend less time in the paint studio in general. So, I believe we can have 2 to 3 things that we mainly focus on. But you get lost in the weeds whenever you got 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever the fuck. Because, let's say I keep these 4 and I have them perfectly balanced. Now, because I ain't no bitch, because I like to acknowledge basic facts, I'm going to have some form of exercise in there. For me, I choose to really enjoy powerlifting and find it like almost like an art form in itself. So that's going to be on there. Now, that's not going to take up a lot of the day. It might take up an hour, hour and a half. Usually no more than an hour. That's going to be in there. I'm going to be prepping my food because I like to stay organized with how much protein and all that fancy shit that I'm getting in. So that'll take up part of the day. I like to have a little bit of time for consumption of new and old art, whether that be film, whether that be music in album form, whatever the fuck it is. Maybe it's some good family time. I like to have that. I like to have a dedicated shut-off point in the day to go focus on that and fuck off and do that type of shit. There's just these little things. Maybe I want to start reading some books. Maybe I want to delve into a certain topic. Maybe I want to listen to a podcast. Maybe I want to do all these things, meditate, blah, blah, blah. All these little things that I'm going to put into that day add up on top of all those other hobbies. So you really got to skim back the meat off of the bones and leave all that shit and just truly get down to the bottom of what you want to do. Easier said than done, but I hopefully gave you a little bit of an explanation. I'm going to finish reading this shit, and then I got to head off to work. So, chase paper, enjoy art and nature, have a good one, my boy.